First contact fracture. The message arrived without ceremony. A shimmering projection broadcast over every orbital station in Earth's jurisdiction. Sleek symbols spiraled in unfamiliar script, then resolved into a synthesized voice. Greetings, species designation Homo sapiens. You're now formally contacted by the Galactic Empire. Your solar system falls within our expansion corridor. Diplomatic integration is offered. Compliance ensures peace, prosperity, and access to greater civilization. It was the kind of message that might have changed the world, and for a brief moment, it did. World governments scrambled to establish a unified protocol. Earth had been preparing for first contact for decades. Treaties were dusted off, flags polished, emissaries trained. For once, borders didn't matter. This was bigger than politics. Humanity stood ready, not with weapons, but with hope. Then came Erebus 9, a fledgling colony, barely 5 months old. Population, 3,800. Mostly scientists, terraformers, and families seeking a fresh start among the stars. It wasn't a military post. No weapons, no defenses, just domes, drills, and dreams. Without warning, Empire warships entered orbit. The Empire's explanation, days later, was clinical. Unauthorized settlement detected within restricted space. Standard enforcement enacted. Violation neutralized. They called it an enforcement. Humanity called it what it was, a massacre. The footage that leaked was fragmented, scrambled through orbital debris. But it was enough. Enough to see the first dome rupture and fire. Enough to hear the screams through static. Enough to recognize the charred remains of children being pulled from the ruins by emergency crews too late to matter. The official explanation rang hollow, like a judge declaring a corpse guilty after the execution. Global mourning turned to unity, and unity turned to rage. The United Earth Council gathered in Geneva for what was supposed to be a diplomatic session with the Empire's envoys. The meeting was canceled. Instead, Earth broadcast a message of its own, not just to the Empire, but to the entire galactic network, loud, clear, and unfiltered. It came from Admiral Rena Park, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense, a career officer known for her calm, calculated demeanor. That day, she didn't look calm. She looked like a storm given human shape. The feed showed her standing before a sea of flags, her eyes cold as the void. To the Galactic Empire, you murdered our people without provocation. You targeted civilians, children, scientists, unarmed settlers. You did not send envoys. You did not issue warnings. You sent warships. Consider this our reply and our warning to the stars. Humans don't bargain with murderers. Then the feed cut to black. The galactic community reacted with stunned disbelief. The Empire, long unchallenged, had expected groveling. They had offered integration and assumed fear would carry the rest. But humanity was not afraid. Humanity was furious. Empire analysts issued psychological breakdowns of human behavior, calling it erratic, emotionally volatile, and self-destructive. They couldn't understand why Earth would reject the hand of peace over a minor enforcement. They didn't understand Earth at all, because humans didn't forget Hiroshima, or Nanking, or the Trail of Tears, or the Holocaust. Humanity had burned itself 1,000 times on the altar of indifference, but it had learned. And when someone else tried to commit the sins of the past, humanity didn't flinch. It remembered. Admiral Park's message echoed across galactic channels for days. The phrase became a rallying cry, translated into hundreds of languages, debated in thousands of chambers. In a darkened room aboard Earth's command center, Park stood with her senior officers, watching the ripples unfold. Will they retaliate? Her aide asked. She nodded. Yes. And what do we do when they come? Park's eyes didn't waver. We remind them that we didn't start this war, but we'll be damned if we let them end it on their terms. Outside the station, Earth's orbital yards lit up with construction. Defense satellites deployed like chess pieces. And far beyond, cloaked transports carrying elite strike teams left Luna's dark side. The message had been sent, and Earth was done talking. The weight of blood. The Empire expected apologies. What they got was a ghost ship. 2 cycles after the Erebus 9 broadcast, the Imperial dreadnought Valus Dren, a flagship of the Outer Rim Security Fleet, vanished from its patrol route. When it reappeared, it was drifting dead in space, systems offline, comm silent. Imperial recovery crews found the entire bridge, crew incapacitated, sedated but alive. No alarms. No shots fired. Every console wiped clean. The human flag, blue field, white stars, painted across the inner walls of the command deck in stark, silent defiance. It was the first strike, and it was only the beginning. Over the next 4 weeks, human forces launched surgical raids across the Empire's borders. No planets were invaded, no civilians harmed, but supply convoys vanished. Communication arrays exploded. Weapons depots turned to ash before alarms could even sound. The Empire's Intelligence Bureau scrambled to identify the threat vectors. Their simulations failed. Their predictive models collapsed. Humanity, it turned out, fought like no species they had ever known. It wasn't just the technology. It was the intention. It's not war. Admiral Tavarek of the Empire's High Command growled. It's vendetta. He wasn't wrong. On Earth, the war room buzzed with quiet intensity. Admiral Park stood before a digital map filled with red and blue icons. Empire assets and human deployments, most of the latter unmarked even to her aides. Any civilian casualties? She asked, voice sharp. None, ma'am, said her intel chief. 0 confirmed. Our teams are obeying full restraint protocol. Park nodded. Good. We hit only the sword hand, not the ones behind it. Still, the pressure was building. News of Erebus 9 had leaked despite the Empire's censorship. Images of charred buildings and bodies circulated in the underground infosphere of half a dozen alien worlds. Some denounced Earth as barbaric. Others whispered in awe. One of those whispers found its way to Earth. A transmission arrived, encrypted, untraceable, carried through a chain of relay satellites hijacked by a human AI. It bore the seal of the Qatari, a vassal race of the Empire known for their quiet obedience. On the screen appeared a Qatari elder, her feathers dulled with age, eyes fierce. We watched your message. We saw what they did to your people. We have no warships, no armies, but we remember what they did to our hatchlings on Kurith 3. The Empire called it pacification. We called it slaughter. We could not fight them. We still can't. But you can. And if you do, you won't fight alone. Park stood in silence as the message ended. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, she turned to her staff. Log their coordinates. Keep their support classified. Protect them at all costs. The war was no longer between Earth and the Empire. It was between memory and control. Meanwhile, in the galactic capital of Virulon, the Senate chambers devolved into argument. Empire delegates demanded Earth's unconditional surrender, while independent systems questioned the legitimacy of the Erebus 9 strike. Senator RYV of the Lasari Confederation spoke on record. You promised peace. You offered law. But now you silence the screams of the innocent and call their grief rebellion. If Earth is barbaric, what does that make you? It was the first open challenge to the Empire's authority in nearly 2 centuries. Back in human-controlled space, a small fleet arrived in orbit over Ivorus Prime, a wealthy border world under Imperial rule. But the humans did not fire. Instead, they jammed all outbound signals and broadcast a simple message on every screen across the planet. We are not here to conquer. We are here to warn. You live under the shadow of an empire that burns the weak and calls it order. We won't burn you. We won't harm your people. We are not them. But we will no longer let murder be policy. Then they left. Every civilian ship was allowed to pass. Every convoy was scanned and cleared. The only thing humans took was a list. Names of officers who ordered the Erebus strike. That list would come up again. Soon. By the end of the month, the Empire had declared Earth a hostile rogue system. The order went out, capture or kill. But for every fleet they sent, a supply depot vanished. For every base they fortified, a new rebel cell rose. Humanity was no longer fighting alone, and the galaxy was starting to listen. Shock and afterburn. The Empire wanted a war. Humanity gave them something worse: uncertainty. By the time the Imperial assault fleet assembled in orbit over the gas giant Delos, the humans were already there, not in force, but in presence. A fleet of unmanned drones floated silently in formation, their hulls broadcasting encrypted signals in a loop. No weapons fired, no threats spoken. It was bait. Admiral Kareth of the Empire didn't see it that way. 17 warships strong, his task force was one of the finest in the Outer Rim. In his mind, the humans were reckless, underpowered, and foolishly bold. He ordered an immediate strike. The drones didn't retreat. They didn't even move. They just transmitted one final message: "Welcome to the Abyss." Then they detonated, not in conventional explosions, but in gravitic implosions, artificial black holes, generated through tech the Empire hadn't seen or believed possible. For capital ships were crushed instantly. Others were flung into the gas giant's upper atmosphere by shock waves, their hulls shredded by gravity shears. The Empire called it sabotage. Human command called it balance. Earth lost no crew. The drones were expendable. The Empire, for the first time in centuries, had to explain the loss of an entire fleet to its citizens. And that loss mattered, because the galaxy was watching, more so now than ever. Across the neutral systems, underground infonets buzzed with videos and analysis. Grainy footage of the Erebus 9 massacre, the human retaliation, the silent, calculated efficiency of their strikes. Every attempt by the Empire to control the narrative only made it spread faster. In the fractured streets of Dremari Prime, a Luxury teacher whispered to her students, "They're not savages. They're a mirror, and the Empire doesn't like what it sees." In the council halls of Threl, a planetary governor refused an imperial edict, citing human precedents of moral resistance. Even in the halls of power, cracks began to form. Senator Vorak, a high-ranking advisor once loyal to the Empire's expansion doctrine, stood in an emergency council session and addressed the assembly. They didn't bomb cities. They didn't kill civilians. They warned us. They showed us what war looked like when fought with restraint and purpose. And still, we ignored them. The humans are not the monsters. They're just the first species in 1,000 years willing to say no. His words didn't go unpunished. By week's end, Vorak was found dead, an airlock malfunction. But the damage was done. Doubt had taken root. Back on Earth, Admiral Rena Park stood at the edge of a reinforced observation deck aboard the ESS Dauntless, orbiting Titan. Below her, new warships rolled off assembly lines in silence, each one named for a colony lost, a ship struck, a civilian killed. Colonies like Erebus 9. She stared into the black, her face carved from steel and sleepless nights. Commander Hale stepped beside her. The Empire's regrouping. Bigger fleets. Heavier ships. They want to end this quickly. Park nodded, her voice a low murmur. They still think this is about ships and guns. It's not. She turned to him then, eyes cold and bright. It's about memory. They don't remember the blood they spill. We do. That's the difference. As Earth's forces moved deeper into contested space, the humans changed their tactics, not just attacking, but broadcasting evidence. They uploaded logs from Erebus 9 to public galactic channels. Unfiltered, unedited, just raw truth. Civilians begging for mercy, evacuation shuttles cut down by plasma fire, Empire officers laughing over comms. It broke the facade. And then, something unimaginable happened. An Empire warship defected. The Vermis Thal, a destroyer-class vessel stationed in the Karith Belt, lowered its shields and transmitted a single line: "We will not kill for murderers." Its crew was mixed, 2/3 Qatari, 1/3 human defectors who had been prisoners of war, now comrades. The Empire scrambled to suppress the news. But it was too late. Whispers spread. The humans fight with honor. The humans spare the innocent. The humans remember. In the dark reaches of space, a final transmission was intercepted from an Empire diplomat fleeing a rebel-occupied world. We thought them primitive. We thought them impulsive. We were wrong. They are fire wrapped in flesh, and they are burning everything we thought untouchable, fire beneath the throne. The Galactic Empire called it a containment campaign. But in practice, it was desperation. Human forces were now operating deep in Imperial space, no longer as raiders, but as liberators. Systems once silent under the boot of Empire rule were rising, emboldened by Earth's refusal to kneel. And with every station that burned, every outpost seized, the truth spread. Humanity wasn't conquering. Humanity was breaking the cage. In the Imperial core worlds, riots began. Small, at first, a few voices, a few banners. Then entire cities turned out, chanting words that no one had dared speak in generations. No more blood, no more silence. At the center of it all sat the Imperial High Throne, carved from star-forged obsidian and history. Emperor Thalzir watched as his advisors delivered report after report of failure. Rebellions, defections, losses. The Admiralty demanded a counterstrike, something overwhelming, something final. Glass Earth, one of them spat. Show them what real power looks like. The Emperor remained silent until the last admiral finished speaking. Then he stood, eyes narrowing. Earth has already shown us what power looks like, he said. They shattered our fear with memory. They took our crimes and made them louder than our guns. He paused, then added quietly, they are not just enemies. They are witnesses. But pride and tradition ran deep. The Empire authorized a full assault. 3 dreadnoughts, 9 support cruisers, 50,000 soldiers. They called it Operation Dominion. Earth called it a mistake. They came through the Helix Gate, the artificial wormhole near Neptune, expecting resistance. They found preparation. The ESS Dauntless, Earth's most advanced warship, was waiting, not alone, but flanked by an armada built in silence. Stealth-class corvettes, drone swarms, and retrofitted alien vessels piloted by former vassals. Admiral Park stood on the command bridge, unmoving as icons lit red across her HUD. She gave a single command, unleash the silence. What followed was the quietest battle in galactic history. No propaganda, no broadcast, no mercy. Earth's AIs tore through the enemy comms. Targeting systems failed. Dreadnoughts turned blind. Drone pod deployed in waves, disabling engines, cutting life support, cracking hulls open with microbombs. Empire ships fired blindly into the void. 10 minutes in, one dreadnought detonated from within, its reactor ruptured by a boarding team that never announced its presence. The second was gutted by EMP spikes and abandoned, its crew fleeing in escape pods only to be tractored and detained. The third was spared, not out of mercy, but strategy. Admiral Park opened a direct line to its bridge. Return to your Emperor, she said. Tell him we could have leveled your cities. We could have broken your world the way you broke ours. She paused. We chose not to. The remaining ship limped away, chased only by silence. 1 week later, the Empire sent envoys, real ones this time. Not warships, not threats. Diplomats. Survivors. They came aboard an unarmed shuttle and asked for a meeting at Titan Station. Admiral Park received them in person. Their opening words were careful, rehearsed. We come in the spirit of reconciliation. She cut them off. No treaties, no deals. Not until your Emperor speaks to the galaxy and names what he did. Erebus 9. The civilians. The children. Silence. If you want peace, she said, you start with truth. Not apologies. Truth. The envoys didn't argue. They just bowed. Back on Virulon, the Emperor stood before the galactic holonet. For the first time in history, an Emperor addressed not rulers or vassals, but the people. We committed atrocities, not by accident, by policy. We called it order. It was murder. Humanity refused our lies. They bled to show the stars what justice can look like. And we were shocked, because we had forgotten what resistance means. His words echoed across thousands of worlds. The Empire fractured, not into chaos, but into choice. Systems declared independence. Others demanded reform. Some knelt to Earth, not out of fear, but respect. On Earth, a new monument rose beside the ruins of the Erebus 9 Memorial. At its base was a plaque. We do not bargain with murderers, but we will speak to the broken, and we will stand for the fallen. Above it, a sculpture, a hand, human scarred, reaching down to help another, alien and uncertain, reaching up. The war was over. The galaxy forever changed. And humanity? Humanity remembered.